Yeah, well, just introduce yourself.
I'm Kamal. I'm a second year FPN student in business policy.
I'm Nitin, and I'm working with National Innovation Foundation.
And anthropologist by training.
Hello everybody, I'm Amol, student of environmental planning from Self University.
I'm Philip, I'm attending the State University of Bielefeld in Germany, and I'm here for an internship doing some research for my bachelor thesis. I'm studying political science.
My name is Jason, and I'm from the University of Manitoba in Canada. I'm here as an intern to do some research for my thesis as well on the internationalization of Indigenous knowledge.
I'm Kalyan, I'm a PGP student.
I'm Himanshi, I'm a research associate here. I'm Himanshi, I'm a research associate here.
And what's your training?
Pardon, sir?
Training.
I've done masters in psychology.
I'm Vivek, I'm in National Innovation Foundation, and I did my PhD from National Botanical as a student in botany, mainly in tribal medicines.
Hi, this is Anamika, and I've been working with Professor. I'm trying to work with Professor.
There's a difference between working and trying to work. She's an ecologist, is that right?
Yeah.
Okay. Welcome. What I propose that we do during this 5 session excursion is a discussion on how we know. And the process of knowing is not something new. It has been going on for centuries, millennia, thousands of years. But not everything that we know generates feelings. But if it did, life would be miserable, isn't it? If we started feeling responsible for every act of knowledge that we acquire, either we will become helpless, we will feel helpless, or we will become hyperactive. And therefore, some people believe that if there was no schizophrenia, we should have invented it, because an element of schizophrenia in all of us keeps us sane. So-called sanity that we talk about is nothing but a creation of schizophrenia. In other words, disconnect between reality as it exists and reality as we see it or know it. If it goes beyond a limit, we consult a doctor. If it is too little, what happens then? What happens if it is too little? If schizophrenia is too little, if everything which is happening around us is felt, what will happen? Sometimes you go into depression, because you believe that there is so much around you which needs to be changed and you cannot do it, and you feel responsible for that happening around you. So you feel depressed, isn't it? Many times you feel depressed not because we are not good or we are not hopeful, but because there is so much that we know and we are not able to disconnect from it. One of the problems that has been asked for a long time is that out of all that we know probably so much. We feel about this much, and we do or act only on this much, isn't it? The number of actions that we take in a day are far smaller, far fewer compared to the feelings that are generated in the mind, which is a subset of all the knowledge that we acquire in our everyday discourse, everyday life. Now let us look at the paradox, that if everything which I feel about, I start taking action, what will happen? What length?
Chaos.
Chaos? Why?
Because if you kind of you don't have a focus and you are thinking about so many things and you are feeling about everything and there are very little chances that you will be able to materialize those things.
So what happens then?
There's a lot of mental thing that goes on. I mean, it disturbs a lot. If we are efficient enough to materialize everything, then maybe something called eternal bliss maybe.
So if a glacier melts, it has several destinies. It can become a river, it can evaporate, it can become a lake. If water goes in all directions, that is possible. It's flood, isn't it? So in all religions there is a concept of pralaya. Pralaya means the great deluge, the Noah's Ark, you know. Christianity has this, Hindu philosophy has it, Buddhist philosophy has it, every religion has the concept of great deluge. The great deluge possibly could be a metaphor for acting in all directions when we are feeling about everything. You know? We could perhaps puncture a balloon in all possible places simultaneously and it will dissipate. It won't be a balloon anymore. But this is a paradox, because if you don't act on what you feel about, then why should we call you a responsible person? Why should somebody be considered as responsible? Responsibility emerges from being true to oneself, and being true to oneself requires acting on one's feelings, isn't it? What is authenticity? Authenticity is to be honest to one's feelings and feel and then act on them. But here is someone saying that if you act on all feelings, you lose the energy, the power, the focus. Therefore, is the problem with focus? Are we too focused?
Do we need to be focused? First, the question is that how much focus should we be?
So there is a story of Mahabharata. Many of you must have heard about. Our foreign friend may not have heard, but it needs to be reinterpreted. So there was a teacher, Dronacharya, who took his 5 disciples for a test, and the test was of archery. So on a tree he hung a wooden bird, and he asked the eldest of the 5 brothers, Yudhishthir, who was considered to be an epitome of morality, fairness, justice, everything right in the world. Dharmaraj, he was considered to be the ultimate embodiment of a pious person, pious being. So he was asked, look at the tree and tell me, the teacher said, what do you see? So he said, I see the entire cosmos, of which earth is a part, of which this tree is a part. And then he said, the bird, and the teacher said, you get lost. You can never be a good archer. Came the second, third, fourth. And finally, when the turn of Arjun came, Arjun said, I can only see eye of the bird. Isn't it? Now Arjun was extremely focused. Yudhishthira was also focused, but he was focused on cosmos. Arjun was focused on eye of the bird. In the knowledge systems, if we had only Arjuns, then we will know a great deal about small bits. But we also need someone who will connect them, who sees the big picture. And I think the world today, there is a crisis in every discipline, and I will share with you examples of medicine, engineering, philosophy, agriculture, every discipline is facing this problem, that we become far too focused on a part, and the breed of beings who can interconnect them is getting lost. In organizations also it is happening, that we are far too focused on what I am trying to teach, what I am trying to learn, what I am trying to work, and the connections between different components, those connections are not getting organized. So, if we did not have someone who is a cosmologist like Yudhishthir was, then nobody would know about what is called as butterfly effect. Some of you have heard about butterfly effect. Have you heard about butterfly effect? No? In the theory of chaos, you say that if a butterfly flutters its wings in China, there could be a storm in US, the multiplier effect of the action. So, we all know that among other things, the temperature in the Pacific Sea, what is it called? El Nino influences one of the parameters of weather in India, temperature in Pacific waters. So, we are getting evidence more and more of connectedness, but our mind is not willing to accept. Our mind would like to believe that if I start looking at and understanding every part of a system, then I will become very responsible, I will feel a great deal of responsibility, I will not be able to act on the feelings, so I will become unauthentic, I will become an alienated person. So, one of the things that we want to do is to understand in this course as to how the problem of alienation, which is a serious problem today, in every profession, in every house, in every family, we find people alienated, sometimes from each other, sometimes from their moorings, a serious problem of alienation. It seems that there is a fear of intimacy. Now, Kamal, I do not know whether how will you react to this concept, this possibility of fear of intimacy? You think it's possible?
Sir, I spent a lot in Mumbai where people don't even know their neighbors that much. So, at times perhaps even within friends, there are some boundaries which people don't tend to cross all that much. Maybe that is what we are looking something for. Also in relationships, because of giving one space.
It seems that one of the greatest fear of modern time is intimacy, because it brings about a sense of responsibility.
So intimacy without expectations is not a problem.
That's the problem. That is the problem. Exactly. That is the problem. Because the problem is intimacy brings focus. It narrows down the realm of what we need to know. And we are discussing the problems of boundaries. We began from the point that if Yudhishthir has to be intimate, as he was, then when he went to the heaven, he went with a dog, and the dog was allowed to enter and not he, because of his intimacies. Because there were moments in his life